This is why the Golden State Warriors need Klay Thompson. See, Klay Thompson has always been a big part of the Warriors, and without him, there's always something that's missing. Some have started calling him a former Curry Splash Brother, but during the past few weeks, he put those rumors to sleep after being offline from the court for over 13 months. Now, it appears like the Warriors fans will have to wait just a little bit longer before the highly anticipated reunion of Golden State's Big Three. Thompson's NBA history in the past 2 seasons is nothing but a tragedy. He was on the road to recovery after missing the entire 2019 to 2020 season with a torn ACL in his left knee.
Thompson running the floor and a foul. And Thompson grabs his left knee, now writhing in pain.
And just when things were starting to look a bit better, in November 2020, he went down with a leg injury during an off-season workout. And at that exact very moment, the Warriors' worst fears became reality when the doctors confirmed that Thompson had suffered a torn right Achilles. He had already undergone both surgeries for the ACL and the Achilles, and both were thankfully successful, but the fact that the stated are 2 of the worst possible injury scenarios that can happen to a basketball player, considering both the possible complications and, more importantly, the rehabilitation time span, they've sat him down for quite a long time. Until recently, no one was sure when Klay was going to return. Some were even asking if he was going to return. But then, a few months ago, it was reported that the Warriors were targeting Christmas Day itself for Thompson's return.
The night Klay came back was going to be one of the most emotional games that any of us will ever be a part of.
But they then postponed that to the first couple of weeks of January. Even Thompson has confirmed those reports.
Dub Nation, I'm back.
Giving hope to all the craving fans. The Warriors already have one of the best records in the league this season, even without Thompson. While it remains to be seen how he'll respond to 2 straight missing seasons with significant injuries, he still gives the Warriors even more star power on the rocket ship journey to the moon, that being another championship. The fact that we can all agree on is that Klay is a crucial part of the Warriors. They need him, and he's never been a bench camper. Without a doubt, Thompson is one of the greatest shooters we've ever seen. Even without the past 2 seasons, he already ranks 21st all-time in 3-pointers made, and 13th in career 3-point percentage, with that being 42%. Few players strike as much fear beyond the 3-point line as Thompson does, and even fewer run as hot as he does. While it may be true that a big chunk of his 3-point attempts throughout his career have been a catch-and-shoot variety, he is much more than a standstill shooter. Prior to his injury, he was the league's leading scorer off of screens. Even Curry was behind him. It's true that sometimes a simple pin down is all Klay needs to shake loose, but he's still one of the league's more active players off the ball. People like to compare him to Curry because he's a genius when it comes to manipulating screens to his advantage and wearing down teams with his consistent movement. See, there's a reason why he's constantly among the league's leaders in distance traveled on offense. It is hard to imagine Thompson not being an excellent shooter after his hardly awaiting return, but coming off 2 leg injuries, it'll be interesting seeing whether he can continue doing the things off-ball that made him so special. But of course, Thompson is not just good at threes. Over the years, he's become more and more comfortable with exploiting occasional mismatches and punishing the teams that are closing out on him too hard on the 3-point line with mid-range jump shots and drives to the basket. But one thing that many NBA professionals and fans have been pointing out, and might be a problem for Thompson, is defense. See, he was always a great defender. Before his injuries, he was one of the league's better wing defenders. Not only could he comfortably defend point guards, shooting guards, and small forwards, but he often took on the challenge of guarding the opposing team's best player. Just look at the list Thompson spent the most time matched up with during his last playing season. You'll see names like Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Luka Doncic, Devin Booker, James Harden, and the like on there. The question is though, will Thompson still have the lateral quickness and athleticism required to defend those dudes, and other small guards in general? If God forbid the answer turns out to be no, he'll be more limited to defending his position. But again, the good news is that the Warriors are already the best defensive team in the NBA, even without Thompson. During his break, Andrew Wiggins has taken the role of being Golden State's defensive stopper on the wing. To add to that, Curry has improved drastically as a defender since Thompson left, and Green is still at the peak of his defensive powers. This dude is at such a peak performance that he's the obvious frontrunner for Defensive Player of the Year as we approach the halfway point of the season. Now, Golden State's starting lineup for most of the games this season has been Curry, Jordan Poole, Wiggins, Green, and Kevon Looney. Assuming the plan is for Thompson to return to the starting lineup, which, let's be honest, he probably will, the most obvious candidate for him to replace is Poole. That'll give the Warriors another spark plug off the bench whenever they need it. But still, we have to acknowledge that Thompson's return will likely impact the minutes of other players on the roster, big time, since it's always felt like they want him on the court as much as possible. There's no doubt that the Warriors would go up another level if Thompson is anything close to the defender he once was, but still, they most likely won't be as reliant on his versatility right after he comes back. If we're being honest, his three-pointers alone will make up for the offensive part, but the defensive one is still questioned and remains a mystery till the day he steps back on the hardwood. And as I said earlier, this day is coming, and it's coming very soon. Golden State fans, embrace yourselves. The chemistry is starting to form itself back into its original state. Back into the Golden State. Ultimately, as long as Thompson hasn't fallen off to the point where he's someone teams can pick on defensively, the Warriors will be just fine and peacefully continue their journey to the finals. In case the sun doesn't blind them on their way there, which might happen anytime.